let's just talk about staying up for the promoted sides. This stat is really interesting. The survival rate historically has been sort of 50% consistently from when the Premier League started in '92, but it's dropped by around 10%, sometimes a little bit more, in the last 4 years. Why in the last 4 or 5 years has it got harder?
I actually think the management of the success and the management of Klopp and Guardiola and the levels they've taken it to has dragged everyone else up within the Premier League. Everyone's trying to catch them. The standards have gone up everywhere.
Yeah.
The amount of money that's been spent. But I think that key point about that those two have set the bar so high that everybody else below is having to try and progress really quickly to stay in the same place. So therefore, when the Championship clubs come up, I think the gap's been getting bigger. And there's a few other reasons as well in the finances we can look at another day. But I think that's partly it.
No, I would agree because, the smaller clubs in stature away from Liverpool and City, I don't know, the Villas and the West Hams and the Southamptons and teams like that, it's so hard to stay where they are now. And they're in the Premier League. To come up and catch your Southamptons and your Villas is difficult. And it's not just about buying loads of players. It's not about that.
So if you are coming up, do you think you need something different, i.e. a Bielsa or the Chris Wilder system at Sheffield United or the overall structure that Brentford have used? Do you need that USP if you're coming up to give yourselves a chance?
I think they're good examples because they're quite unique clubs and they've done it in a different way. Bielsa was quite unique in his style, of course, and you could argue Sheffield United, the way they played was.
And Burnley did it for a while as well. Burnley did it.
Well, yeah,
Burnley did it for a long, long time. They did it in a different way, but it's the structure. It's getting it right, and it's what it is. It's going up and staying up for one, and then staying up for two. That's what it's all about, and that's the difficult thing. Just staying up and mixing it with the quality of the Premier League.
I think one of the other key points is starting the season well as well.
Yeah,
getting points on the board, yeah.
If you get some points on the board early and the confidence and momentum carries you through for the first 3 or 4 months.
Well, I've got stats coming out of my ears here. Opt to say that if a team pick up 8 points from their first 5 games, they've got a 96% chance of staying up, which backs up your good point. The other interesting stat at the moment is, and it backs up the first one, that 5 of the top 10 lowest points totals in Premier League history have come in the past 3 years. Which highlights how difficult it is. The other big thing that everybody goes on about is having a goal scorer.
Having a goal scorer and conceding goals as well. I go back to my old club, Norwich, and they're the club I look at, and I think to myself, you cannot sustain being in the Premier League if you concede as many goals as you do and you're relying on Pookie to score all your goals. It just doesn't work like that. You have to get more quality in, and you've got to be able to defend in the Premier League because you will have chances against you.
Now, we haven't actually put Alexander Mitrovic's goals on from yesterday on the graphic, but you can see the drop-off there. But at the same time, double figures in the Premier League is not a bad total, but it's not just on that one man, is it, in each situation? That would be your argument, wouldn't it?
I think more often than not, because they're playing for the same team, they come up and they're having less possession, they're being dominated in games more, they get less chances, so their goals to games is going to go down. I don't think it's necessarily super important to have somebody who's going to get you 20 goals. I'm a bit more with Dion. I remember when Fulham's the best example I can give, we just escaped relegation on the last day. The next season we finished 7th and our top goal scorer had 9, I think. But we were really solid.
Yeah.
So it's finding that balance. I don't think it's necessarily finding a 20 goals a season striker.